I am actually doing a fundraiser for the charity Epilepsy Action, and that is to walk 50 miles in February. As part of that, I'm going to be doing some videos walking disused railway lines. Whew, a little bit out of breath already. I can't see a single bit of graffiti. We've still got the 2 platforms here, part of its original Elsan chemical toilet, which would be this. Let's check out the t-shirt again. One of the things that really helped me understand my condition is the information that's put out there by Epilepsy Action. Old Crossing Keeper's Cottage, these lovely gates. It closed in 1935. Good morning everybody, I am Sarah with the Trains and welcome to part 2 of my walking a disused railway line for charity, raising money for Epilepsy Action. As you can see, I've got the t-shirt on. Last time we got as far as the old site of the station at Catfield. We are now continuing our journey and our next stop is going to be Heigham. So let's head off and I'll get my phone started to track the mileage. We have made it to Station Road, and what you're looking at there is the location of Heigham Station. It was opened in 1880 by the Yarmouth and Stalham Light Railway, which would later become the Yarmouth and North Norfolk Railway, and subsequently the Midland and Great Northern Joint Railway. It had 2 platforms, sidings, a signal box, and it sadly closed in 1959. On this house I've just seen a British Rail totem sign. I don't know if this is just a replica or if it's actually real. The building this sign is on can be seen on the other side of the line in this postcard. It was originally the post office. In the foreground of the postcard is the old station building at Heigham Station. Right, to keep the momentum of this charity walk going, we're going to head off to Heigham Bridge because our next station is going to be Heigham Bridge Halt. Let's go. Now at the site of what was once Heigham Bridge Halt. The halt was one of the halts opened in 1933. This one was to serve boat traffic on the River Thurn. It remained open until 1939 when it was closed as a wartime economy measure. It was then reopened in 1948 with British Railways and ultimately closed just 11 years later in 1959 with the Midland and Great Northern network. The halt itself was actually up at track level, where the A149 is now, the road having been rerouted after the railway line closed, and there was a little gate to a footpath up to the halt just about here. The station here was very basic, like the other halts. It was just a singular wooden platform. It was arguably better placed than the actual Heigham station. It was closer to, the centre of Heigham, where people needed to be and wanted to be. And that was the point of these halts. It meant that tourists didn't have to walk an extra mile or whatever from the station of a certain place. Now though, we're going to head off to Martham. Now that's going to be about another hour's walk, but let's go. I did have a little break at the cafe in Latham's of Heigham, so I've got quite a bit of energy. Should keep us going all the way to Martham. have now made it to the location of Martham Station. That over there is called Station Close, so that's a pretty good clue. The station was opened in 1878 by the Yarmouth and Stalham Light Railway. It was renamed to Martham for Rollesby in 1897. The station had 2 platforms, including a small building for a ticket office and a waiting room. There was also a single siding at the station for goods and livestock. As you can see from this postcard from the early 1900s, it was double track through the station to allow trains to pass. When the railway closed in 1959, it had a knock-on effect on local businesses that had used the railways for transporting goods. There's actually a record of a driver for Martham Mushrooms driving through the night to get to Birmingham to catch the early morning markets. Sadly, there were some accidents at the station. In 1947, a chap called Frederick Grimmer was hit by the Yarmouth to Leicester Express whilst crossing the line with 2 horses. Himself and the horse he was riding, sadly, did not survive, and the other horse actually ran away to Potter Heigham. It was deemed by P.C. Jenkins, who gave his opinion on the matter, that Mr. Grimmer hadn't heard the train whistle because of the direction of the wind on that day. In 1948, a chap called Benjamin Arthur Moll was killed by a train east of Martham Station. He was walking his dog along the railway track with his back to oncoming trains. He was profoundly deaf and didn't hear the train whistle. The final tragedy I want to talk about is from 1892, when a cow was hit on the line between here and Hemsby. It was determined that the cow may have been tempted by the smell of turnips that were being carted through the opposite field. Needless to say, there was an impact on the train from hitting a cow, because cows are quite big, and it derailed the locomotive. And now we've had that little bit of history and that little sit down, it's time for us to head off yet again to Hemsby. While we're having a little walk down this footpath, I thought I'd have a little chat again about epilepsy, because that's the charity we're raising for here. If I haven't mentioned it already, I will put a link to the fundraiser in the description below if you want to donate. In a statistic I've seen from Epilepsy Action, 69% of respondents in a study they did said that having epilepsy limited their independence. And I would, speaking for myself, I would agree that it does limit my independence, because even though I'm fairly well controlled, we're sort of at 1 or 2 seizures a year now, whereas at one point in my early 20s it was 1 every 2 weeks. In spite of that level of control, it does mean that I can't do things like drive or have a bath unsupervised. And at the age of 33, not being able to do these things, it does feel quite limiting. You know, people talk about, oh, there's an event going on at this place, and there's got plenty of parking. It's like, is there any public transport that goes there? No. And it's like, okay, because I can't just think one day, I want to go to select random place that doesn't have any public transport links and drive there. It just doesn't work like that for me, unfortunately. So yeah, I would say for me it does limit my independence. I try not to let it get me down. I do my best with trying to be very independent, sometimes maybe a bit stubbornly, so that I don't feel too limited, like with walking, taking the train and getting the bus. Oh, Hemsby is getting significantly closer. Oh, well, I'm getting significantly closer to Hemsby, that is. As we're coming into Hemsby from Martham, this little bit of the road that goes slightly up used to be a much bigger hump. It's where the road used to cross the railway. Ooh, this house is labelled Station House. Pity we can't see more of it. We have now reached the site of Hemsby Railway Station. That is over the road behind me. I'm going to hand over to narration Sarah because the traffic is making it hard to film. The station here in Hemsby was opened in 1878 by the Great Yarmouth and Stalham Light Railway. The station was just a single platform with a station building, as well as a signal box, cattle pens and sidings. Hemsby was a popular station due to a large holiday camp on Beach Road, and there are still plenty of holiday camps in Hemsby today, although the holiday camp to the west of Back Market Lane is now a housing development. When the railways first came to Hemsby, there was an issue with regards to the line crossing a road. There was a dispute ongoing with that, and it meant that passengers who wanted to go any further than Hemsby, wanted to head to Martham and beyond, had to actually get off the train, cross the road and get on another train where there was a temporary station heading to Martham. Fortunately, the station opened in 1878 and this dispute was resolved in 1879. So over there is the site of what was Hemsby railway station. As you can see, there's now a burial ground there. I have just noticed two things. One, the house over there says Flying Scotsman, and another thing I'm going to have to go a bit closer to show you. There's an old Midland and Great Northern marker outside the house. So I have decided this is going to be my last station of the day. My app on my phone tells me we've done 10.4 something miles, so adding that up to the walk from last time and the little walks I've been doing during the week, that makes a total of this, and gives this percentage of the walking for the 50 miles. This is how much we've done so far. I think it's going to be quite a fair amount, so I'll be picking up here next time. I hope you've enjoyed this video. There's links to all good stuff from Epilepsy Action and for the fundraiser in the description below. I'll see you next time for another railway adventure. Bye! As always, an extra special thank you to all of my patrons and channel members whose names are on screen now, as well as everybody who donates to me on Ko-fi. You make things like this possible. Now, let's hop on a bus to Great Yarmouth.